And I think the hardest part for me before therapy was kind of the self-criticism that I would attach onto those feelings. So if I felt anxious, it would kind of be like, why am I feeling this way? How do I make this feeling go away? How come no one else feels this way? And I think a lot of that was more painful than actually just feeling the feeling in the moment. Or if I went through something, say like a bad date, it would get like, why do I always go on bad dates? Like, what's wrong with me that this always keeps happening? So being able to learn self-compassion, it was a lot easier then to maybe deal with, say, a bad day at work. And those would just pass a lot easily than attaching all these other feelings and thoughts on top of it. When I have like a bad feeling, it just feels like an overwhelming wave of things. So it's hard to actually realize what's going on and realize like, oh wait, I'm feeling like angry and now I'm feeling sad. And because of that, I'm attaching all these other feelings. It just feels like, oh my God, everything's out of control. Like I'm so angry, I'm lashing out at everyone. So it's hard to identify those. But in the beginning, I think you gave me an app that was really helpful. It was like a mood tracker app, and it was a big grid of different colors. And you could kind of move a little clicker around between like, hey, I'm high energy and like high intensity right now. I'm probably angry. And it gave more language to like all the different shades of feelings that I felt.
So if I can break that down a little bit, basically anger would then make you feel sad, or sadness and anger would show up at the same time. And then you would add the thought, I feel sad and no one else feels sad, which would trigger loneliness. And then loneliness would make you not want to connect. And it would be kind of self-fulfilling that the more that you withdrew, the more lonely you felt. And what types of life circumstances or biological factors might make you feel more agitated or irritable?
I think if it's like a generally like stressful environment, I feel like more sensitive to that. I think also if I'm like not sleeping well, which again, if it's like a stressful period, that definitely has something to do with it. I feel like if I'm drinking more than I usually do, like that definitely has something to do with it. And if I'm not exercising also, that has something to do with it too. It's been helpful in figuring out like one, if I'm not feeling good, instead of almost having like this self-criticism come in and being like, why do I feel this way? Why am I stressed out? I have like a quantitative way to like be like, oh wait, this is like these feelings are an outcome of like the lifestyle choices that I'm making at the moment. If I can just like course correct to do things that I know make me feel better, I'll feel better in a few days. So I feel like it gives me more like data about what's going on, and then also feels like it gives me a lever to like control my moods more easily too. I feel like knowing that like, okay, this is like a week to like maybe get more sleep, make sure I'm going to like, I like Pilates, go to Pilates every day, make sure I'm like eating well, make sure I'm like social activities, even if it doesn't feel great, like maybe space them out a little bit more than I would usually. Before like I started talking to you, I feel like during those periods instead, I would just like stay at home by myself, like listen to really sad music, like open up a bunch of like existential like philosophy books and get like even deeper in a hole. And I feel like it would like last a lot longer and be easier to just like be stuck in it.
You would kind of do like mood congruent behaviors. So once you were starting to go down, you would do other things that brought you down, like listening to sad music, withdrawing, and reading kind of existential or depressing reading. So now you can see that when that's coming, you've got to do stuff that's like opposite action. Like you want to withdraw and you reach out to people. You want to stay in your bed and you go and exercise, that type of thing. It might be a metric of uncertainty. So a first date is a much more uncertain situation. So you're much more vulnerable to whatever direction your mood is headed, where if you have some sense of what's going to happen, you might be able to challenge your mood more effectively. And even getting broader than that, I think making a decision when you have some sense that you have some space between the mood and like you see the mood for what it is, and you have some space to decide how you're going to respond to the thoughts and urges that come with it. That's like if you have no space, that's probably a time that you need to focus on self-care. Whereas if you have some amount of space, you can do something that's a little bit more uncertain.